I have 3 degrees. I have a PhD. I'm a qualified healthcare professional. I have a career. I have a family. So, why on earth would I decide to build an online business? And no, at this stage, I'm not trying to quit my career. Actually, that's kind of the point. Because I don't think the answer to wanting more freedom, flexibility, or financial options is necessarily to leave the career you've spent years building. I think we need to start asking a different question. What if you could build something alongside it? And that's exactly what I'm doing. If you are new here, my name is Rensha. I'm a physiotherapist. I am a researcher. I'm a mom and someone who has spent a ridiculous amount of time thinking about how we create a life that actually works for the people living it. And over the last couple of years, I've been exploring online business. And I'm going to be completely honest, I overcomplicated the hell out of it. I researched, I compared, I watched videos, I downloaded things, I bought the courses, I learned about different business models, and somehow managed to spend a lot of time learning about an online business without actually building one properly. But eventually something clicked for me. I realized I wasn't looking for another job. I wasn't looking for a side hustle that would consume every evening. I don't have the time. And I definitely wasn't looking to become an influencer. I was looking for another income producing vehicle that could potentially exist alongside the career and the responsibilities I already have. And that distinction changed everything for me. That's something I've been thinking about a lot. As professionals, we're often told that if you want more money, we should get another qualification, work towards a promotion, take on more responsibility, specialize, work more hours, move into management, keep building your career. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I've done several of them myself. But eventually, you run into something that has nothing to do with your ambition, and that's called time. Because even if your hourly value increases dramatically, there are still only so many hours you can sell. And if your income depends almost entirely on your continued availability to work, there's a very real limit to how much you can increase your income without also increasing the demands on your time. And this is where I think the conversation gets interesting. Because maybe the problem isn't I don't earn enough. Maybe the problem is almost all of my earning capacity depends on me continuing to trade my time for money. And again, those are two very different problems. So, this is where I think a lot of professionals can relate. I don't want another job. I already have a career. I have responsibilities. I have a family. I don't want to finish work and then start another 4 hour shift building someone else's business. I don't want to spend every weekend packing orders, or I don't want to become a content creator just to make money online and do funny videos and whatever. And I don't want to spend 3 years developing a product, building a website, figuring out technology, and learning every single aspect of digital marketing before I make my first sale. I wanted something that had structure, something I could learn, something I could build around my existing life, something that didn't require me to throw away everything I'd already worked for. And that's what led me to the model I'm using now. So, what am I actually building? Let's make this really practical. When I say I'm building an online business, I'm not talking about posting motivational quotes on Instagram and hoping somebody buys something or making funny videos. I'm talking about a digital business model. The particular system I'm using provides a pre built digital product, a sales funnel, training, marketing education, and a structure for learning how to actually market and sell the product. And I'm an affiliate for that system. So instead of creating a product completely from scratch, I'm learning how to market an existing digital product and earn a commission when somebody purchases through my referral. And that's the model. And I think it's important to explain that because online business can mean almost anything these days. It can refer to e commerce, freelancing, consulting, courses, coaching, um, content creation, memberships, affiliate marketing, even something like software. So there are literally hundreds of models. Maybe I'm not even aware of many of them. And I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm saying this is the model I've chosen to learn and build. And I chose it very deliberately. So, how did this model make sense to me? There were a few things that stood out to me. First, I didn't have to start by creating a product from nothing. And that's important because I have expertise, right? And knowledge and skills. But I don't necessarily have the time or desire to turn my professional expertise into another service that requires me to personally deliver it. Second, there is infrastructure already in place: the funnel, the product, the training, the systems, like I've mentioned before. And that doesn't mean the business runs itself. It doesn't. You still have to learn marketing. You still have to create content. You still have to understand your audience. And you still have to communicate very clearly. But most importantly, you still have to show up. You are not starting with a completely blank page. And for someone with a career and a family, that matters. So you say, but I don't have time. And this is probably the biggest objection I hear from professionals and parents, especially mothers, even more so. I don't have the time. And I get it because neither do I. That's actually one of the reasons I chose this model. I am not trying to build something that requires me to work another 8 hours a day. There aren't that many hours available for me. I looked for something I can build in the margins of the life I already have, which means like 9 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I think there's an important distinction here. I am not saying you can build a huge business in 2 hours a day with no effort, because that is not the message. What I am saying is, I have limited time, and so do you. So I'm deliberately choosing a model where I don't have to spend all of that time building infrastructure from scratch. That's a much more realistic conversation, I think. But I don't have an audience. Well, I didn't start with a huge audience either. And you don't necessarily need one. Of course, having an audience can help, but you don't need to be famous on the internet to learn how to market something online. You need to learn how to communicate with the right people. You need to understand the problem. You need to understand the person experiencing that problem. And you need to offer a solution that makes sense. Which, interestingly, is something most professionals already know how to do in their various paths, in their various avenues. We've just never thought about applying those skills to business. But I am not a marketer, you say. Well, neither was I. And honestly, this is probably one of the biggest mindset shifts I've had. I used to think I'm a physiotherapist, I'm a researcher, I am not a marketer, I absolutely hate sales. But marketing is ultimately about understanding people. What do they need? What are they struggling with? What are they trying to achieve? And what is stopping them? How can you communicate a solution clearly? Those are the skills. And skills can be learned. That's how you got to where you are, right? I don't need to become a completely different person to build this. I knew I just had to learn something new. And no, I am not telling you to quit your job. I want to make this very clear. I am not here to say, quit your job tomorrow. I am not here to tell you that employment is bad or 9 to 5 is the worst thing that was ever created. I am not here to tell you that everyone needs a side hustle and that everybody makes a huge success. And I'm definitely not going to stand here and promise you some ridiculous income numbers because you thought or you bought a course and posted 3 reels, because that's not how this works. What I am saying is, I don't think having one income stream should be the default forever simply because that's how we've always done it. You can have a successful career and build something else. You can absolutely love your profession and still want more flexibility. You can be financially comfortable and still want more options. You can be absolutely ambitious without wanting to work more hours. All of those things can coexist. So, this is the part that changed for me. I think for a long time, I was approaching online business from the perspective of, can I make this work? But now my question is different. It's, what can I build if I actually commit to learning this properly? Because that's a very different energy. I am not pretending I've already achieved some massive outcome, and I'm not going to manufacture screenshots or throw income claims around to convince you. I'm building this, I am learning it, I am implementing it, and I'm sharing what I'm learning along the way. Why am I sharing this publicly? Because I know there are people watching who are probably having the same conversation with themselves. You're educated, you're capable, you're probably doing reasonably well professionally, you can pay your bills. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is this really it? Not because your career is bad, not because you're ungrateful, but because you can see the future. You know what your responsibilities are. You know that your responsibilities are probably going to increase. Your time isn't going to magically multiply. And you may want more flexibility later, more choices, more financial resilience, more control over how you spend your time. And maybe you don't need to make a dramatic change. Maybe you just need to start building another option. At least that's what I'm doing. So, if you've been curious about online business, but you've always thought, I don't have the time, I don't believe this nonsense, I don't have an audience, I don't know what I'd sell, I am definitely not tech savvy, and I definitely do not want another job, or I don't want to become an influencer, and maybe something like I don't even know where to start. I completely understand because that's exactly why I decided to share this. I have a free training that introduced me to this model in the description below. You can go through it, understand how the model works, and decide for yourself whether it's something worth exploring. There's absolutely no pressure, and there's no promise that it's right for you. This is just information. Because I think intelligent people deserve the opportunity to make an informed decision. And if you are curious, that's where I'd start. And if you want to follow along, please subscribe because I'm going to be sharing more about what I'm actually doing, the model, the marketing, the mistakes, things that surprise me, what it looks like trying to build an online business around an already very full life. I'm doing this because I hate my career. I love helping people. I'm building it because I believe one income stream doesn't have to be the only option. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what happens when I actually give this commitment it deserves. And I'm excited for you. So I'll see you in the next one.